What's he building in there? What the hell is he building in there?
Well, if he is an orc, then chances are it's a Stompa, a giant mechanized monstrosity made by the mad scientists of the orcish race to decimate all the foes that stand before them, usually with sheer size and power.
So a very good early morning to you, my fellow cultured casuals. So why am I bringing up Stompas of all things? I thought I was supposed to be looking at models from history, not necessarily models from modern day. Well, while I do have a Stompa that I need to paint, I'm not talking about that one. You see, I've painted true scale, heroic scale, scales I haven't even been supposed to be painting in terms of models, but I have never painted an epic scale model before. And that's what we're going to be doing today.
Before even the arrival of 2nd edition in 1993, Games Workshop produced a large-scale battle game called, well, Adeptus Titanicus, or Epic 40K as it came to be known later. This involved massive battlefields with massive troop sizes and massive machines, kind of like the scale of flames of war in the modern day. Your guys are supposed to be the littlest of the little, and the biggest machines in your culture's arsenal are to be brought to bear in this version of the game. For the orcs, that means Stompas, the little guys down at the bottom row, and who looked something like this in the game. Ugh.
So what's that I hear you say? Painting a small Stompa takes nowhere near as much skill as painting a big Stompa? Well, au contraire, my friends, and allow me to show you exactly why that statement is patently false.
Look at how much detail is on this model. There's a lot going on here that I'm going to have to address. I don't understand why the heavy metal guys who did the box art for this thing made it so boring and cartoonish when there's so much to work with.
Now once again, if you think I'm going to be just mimicking this cartoon paint scheme, you would be entirely mistaken. Mostly because I already have something in mind. You see, I'm an orc player, by nature. As such, when I read or listen to stuff from Black Library, it tends to be about the orcs. So I've developed kind of a taste for Guy Haley's writing. And what I'm going to be doing with this model is I'm going to be painting this orc Stomper in the same color scheme and style as the legendary Stompa Fat Mork from his Red Sun Rising short story series.
So naturally that means we're gonna have to start off with a red paint scheme. After all, these guys are evil Sunz, so the red ones go faster and the red ones are best. So of course, I lay down the messy base coat and get to dry brushing. This is actually going to be the easy part for me. The base coating of the metal bits, that's a little bit tougher. Since there's a lot of recesses in this that I need to get into, I need to really push with the brush to get all the pigment to where it's supposed to be, leaving no black exposed.
Like I kind of indicated earlier, the detail on this is super fine and super deeply cut. So, when I'm base coating, a lot of the times I have to work extra hard to get the paint into those little cracks and crevices. It's a difficult proposition, but I'm not giving up.
'Cause I is an orc! Now get down that hole!
God, it's exhausting trying to force the pigment to where it's supposed to be, but once I've got it, then the dry brushing becomes easy again. Now, you may think I have to be really specific with this silver here, but if I miss a stroke or something like that and get a little bit of dry brush silver on the red, it just makes it look scratched and dented, and all the better and more orky for it, so I have no problem letting a few of these slips happen. I'm going to be doing this all over the body of this robot here, but the arm, which is a separate piece, I have to do a little bit more detail painting on. So like these tanks, I'm making them copper, just to have there be a little bit of distinction on the model. Remember that cartoony example I gave from Games Workshop earlier? Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want everything to look exactly the same. so as much deviance in the color scheme as I can get, I'm going for. This is going to be apparent in these little gold bits and in the blue of the energy weapon there, which we'll also get to highlighting later. Now there's not really a good description of Fat Mork's face in the novellas, but since he's an evil son, you do want to keep to a red and gold and yellow color scheme. And I don't want to just keep the jaw on this Stompa red. That'd be boring. That'd be exactly like the cartoon version we saw from Games Workshop. So with the thought of that level of failure behind me, I make the jaw gold and I start working on other little bits from the novella that I've read about, like these energy nodes all the way around him. Supposedly, Fat Mork is run by having a miniature star inside him, powering a variety of different fusion reactors. And what better way to show this sort of energy bubbling up from within than these glowing nodes all over him? I'm painting them like the gems from my Eldar models, so a lot of detail work. And since this is even smaller than most models I've painted before, my frayed brush is really trying my patience on this one. Another thing I'm doing is making sure to give him one of those energy nodes on the eye, because he has, as the orcs call it, a zappy eye. I'm not just going to leave that as barren metal. I'm going to do the same thing I did with these energy nodes on the side with the eye as well. So the same highlights, same dark lights, same inking, same process. So once we get done with highlighting the energy nodes and the zappy eye, we can go back to worrying about the arm. Now I'm going to be highlighting the energy coils here with the lighter blue. I tried dry brushing and it kind of works, but in the end I'll just go back and line highlight those later. Better to be neat about this. Yeah, but we'll dry brush the actual energy weapons here for now, making them glow, and if a little bit of light blue gets on the metal, I'm gonna leave it, because that creates a nice little subtle glow effect that I don't need to worry about until later. But you know what's funny? Mickey and I just realized this little guy's basically a finger puppet for now. Funny. Alright, back to business. So, we're doing a little bit of detailed work on the big shooter here. Excuse me, the death cannon. That's the big Stompa weapon, so it's gotta look just as flash as its name would suggest. So I'm going to be doing a traditional Evil Sunz pattern of a yellow field with black flames licking around all over it. These tend to be easy, but on such a small scale, I find myself having to go back and clean up quite a lot. Especially during this line highlighting phase, I do mess up every now and again and have to go back and darken things up. For the most part, this is fairly straightforward. The edges are nice and raised, so we can get a nice, good brush in here. Tiny little brush, and just edge along the square bits, and trust me, there are a lot of them. Okay, so what we're doing now is another thing that I heard about in the novellas. See, Fat Mork is supposed to have the banner of the Evil Sunz, that Mork face I keep drawing everywhere, splashed across a panel on his chest. Oh boy, this is going to be some detail painting like I've never done before. I'm not even sure I can get this, but we're blacking out this panel right now to set the stage, make a canvas for it, so to speak. That little red sun there, I'm trying my best to do the highlights like I do with it on full scale, but it's just not gonna cut it this time. I have to be more minimalistic, otherwise it's gonna look stupid. Now I've got the eyes, I've got the brow highlights, all I need are the fangs really, so just give me that and we'll have ourselves a nice little decal here. Oh, I've almost got it, kind of got it. It looks decent enough, but I want to go farther. I want to have the little rays of sunshine, evil sunshine, sticking out in yellow. These may have to be minimalist too, because oh fuck, I fucked it up and I know I'm going to have to come back and clean that up later. God, even with a fine brush, this level of detail is almost impossible. It's a challenge well worth it, I'd say. Well, the model's almost done, so I just have one last effect that I want to do. I want to have some copper oxide along the side of these barrels, so I'm making it nice and green along the edges here. Yeah, perfect. Looks like copper rust already. Well, nothing left to do but attach the arm. Just need to get the...
Get more!
Stand still, I got the glue on here. I just gotta get it in the right position. Get back! Just stay still, you!
Look at Fat Mork! Look at my Stompa!
And know this is my Fat Mork, with whom I am well pleased.
All in all, I'd say it lives up to its name. Epic. I love how a good lick of paint can make this thing look amazing, even for an epic scale model. I mean, of course, the only drawback really is the size,
Because you is the littlest, and I is the biggest, and that makes me the boss, and you the runt.
No, but seriously, if this isn't my best model that I've painted thus far in my career, it's certainly my favorite one that I've painted in this career. I love the detail level in it. I love just the wackiness of it. There is that humor, but there's also that sense of, even if this is small as a model, when you think of the scale of the battles, this is super imposing, and it is a super terrifying prospect to be facing one of these things down. So I like how the model works. I like how it's able to be painted like this. Forget about that cartoon paint scheme from before. This is how it's done. Now that I've tooted my own horn pretty hard there, I'd say it's time we call it a night on this one. But next time, I'm going to be dealing with something that is equally as old and new. Something that is relevant to the upcoming 9th edition, but something that still has a lot of historical significance in the greater lore of 40K. So I hope to see you guys then.